All right, everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Reyes Reflection Podcast. Please do not forget to click the subscribe button so you can stay up to date. Follow me on Apple, Spotify, Google, and YouTube. And of course, check out my Instagram at I'm Nathanael Reyes. Now, I'm going to get right into the introduction here. My next guest is amazing. She carved out some time. She's having a lot of interviews, so I appreciate she's sitting and doing one with me. So without further ado, she's a singer, songwriter, outdoor enthusiast, and she's a contestant of this upcoming season of The Voice. So without further ado, please welcome the lovely Sadie Bass. Thank you for joining.
Woo! Thank you for having me. It's been nuts, all the interviews coming in right now. It's a nice peak in the career, thank God.
Right. I mean, right. You're hot. Strike. You got to strike while the iron's hot. You know what I mean? It's just one of those things. So, which again, appreciate you doing it for even small shows like myself. So,
No, thank you for reaching out. No such thing as a small show, man. No such thing.
Thank you. I appreciate. Look at that supporting. So getting right into it. You grew up in Bath, Michigan, right?
Yes.
What was life out there in a place that nobody really knows anything of? I didn't misspeak. It is Bath, Michigan.
Yes,
Correct?
Bath, Michigan. Yep. Honestly, I loved growing up in Bath. It was just small town, real simple. You know, you knew everybody by their first and last name, how many dogs they had, and it was just always really good community. And I think I got a lot of, fans and followers through like sports and just Bath would always just show up to gigs and just pack the place. So I'm happy, where I came from. It wasn't very big. We had one, gas station pizza place, and we didn't have all of like the crazy sports, but I just actually visited on Friday. They had me come sing for the high school kids.
I did see that on your Instagram.
And kind of like give a little speech. And it's just crazy because I thought about when I was sitting in those bleachers and I was like, if you would have told me then that I was going to be doing this now, I just literally would have laughed because I couldn't even give a speech, in a class. So it was just crazy, but it was probably one of my favorite things I've been a part of as of now. So it was so cool. I love Bath.
You said, and we mentioned a lot of outdoor stuff. I'm sure there was a lot of outdoor activities out there in Bath, Michigan. And I think I read somewhere, is that where you got most of your following before you did music? You got people, you did like outdoor enthusiast videos type of deal, and people were like, oh, intrigued by that, right?
Yeah, I think it was, I never really had a crazy big following, but I always had a little bit more, I guess, than average. And I was just posting what I was doing outside, which was, hunting with my dad or fishing. And I think at the time it was kind of like doing outdoorsy stuff before it was cool, and especially seeing a girl doing it, it was a little maybe less common or maybe just not heard of a lot. So I think I got a lot of followers and fans from that. And I think other girls too might have been nervous about getting into the hunting industry because there are kind of like critics or like people who think there's like a right or wrong or like certain people have to do certain things, but it's just not. It's a hobby and it's fun. And I think they found like comfort in that and like to watch, the journey, because we didn't have monster bucks in Michigan or anything, but it was just kind of cool to see like a normal person doing it. I didn't have a ton of acres or a bunch of money, just like what you see online. It was like, this is normal stuff, so that helped a lot with my following. And that's what my songs are about. So.
And you're a big fisher. I got to be honest with you. I've been fishing maybe twice or three times my entire life. It's not for me. I think I need to move. What is your most favorite thing about fishing?
Honestly, okay, I know my last name's Bass, but I will say this right now. I am not a bass master fisherman. My dad is like, he's the one who's really good. So whenever I go with him, it feels like I caught a lot of fish because I'm with him, but really I didn't. We just troll, we drink, we chill. But I've always loved to do it. I mean, it's so exciting, but I'm not a master by any means.
I have friends who do it, and I think they say they like the tranquility of it. Like they like the fact that it's like early morning waters, nothing's really disturbed. You can kind of just, it's a little bit more peaceful. And I think some people like that. And again, for me personally, I've always played sports, but I've always been more active. Yeah. And like I hated playing center field in baseball because especially in Little League, the balls don't really go out there as often. So
then when you get into bigger leagues, it does. When I played college ball, and I went from infield to outfield, and I was kind of gumpy out there. I didn't really have good form, but I got the job done. So we put me out there anyways. But it was some action, man.
Yeah. I'm sure. Like you said college ball, you said?
House softball, yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure it was a lot more. I kind of stopped at around 12. If I had kept going, you're right. Probably in high school or in college, I probably would have seen a little bit more action. But
But when you're
nonetheless,
that was like the worst spot. You're like picking grass and flowers and stuff.
right. I'm like counting how many sunflower seeds I ate. Like, oh, okay, here we go. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, in Bath, like there's not, now that I live in Nashville, you know, you go in the city and there's a lot more places to go. But in Bath, you just kind of have to make your own fun. And that was bonfires. It was, you know, going to the lake and fishing or just laying out or, you know, just hanging out in the woods. So that's how we have fun out here.
Yeah, a lot of outdoor stuff. Yeah, I like the outdoors. It like for me, it's a way to get away from real life. And in some cases, that should be more real life. But it's just one of those things where it's just being outdoors. It's nice. You hear the birds. I'm a big animal lover. I like listening to them and things like that. I like seeing them. And it's just a good feel. It makes me feel good.
For your soul. It's so good for your soul.
It is.
Everything being so busy too. And, you know, on the road and stuff, it is kind of like, I think, a time just to relax and, you know, regroup. So I'm thankful that I grew up and got to do some of that stuff.
And now it's carried into your day-to-day life where now you're making music and having it be a career and as memories and things that you can kind of write. So, but we'll definitely get more into that because I'm excited to hear about it. So, you have done some pretty cool stuff. You've opened up for Billy Ray Cyrus and Brantley Gilbert. Is that correct? I'm not familiar with Brantley Gilbert.
Yeah. Oh, well, Brantley Gilbert's really good. He's like country, like rock. You know what I mean? He's pretty BA, like not like this raspy, growly voice. So he's like good for the shows where you just really want to like have fun and it's high energy.
How is that like? Did they invite you? Did they contact you? How is that like?
So I've opened for a lot of artists, but it's kind of funny with Brantley Gilbert. He was kind of one of the first big artists. I started kind of just gigging around town and it was kind of, you know, seeing what I could do. And then there was this thing called Battle of the Bands and it was in Grand Rapids and it was a competition and whoever won that competition got to open for Brantley Gilbert at Fifth Third Ballpark. And so we went in not thinking we were going to win. I mean, this was kind of right off the gate. But we ended up winning. So then we got to open for Brantley Gilbert and Hardy and Jimmy Allen and Jordan Davis. And now Hardy's like one of my favorite people ever.
Yeah. Wow. So that's a really cool experience. So you competed to open up for those individuals.
Yes. And then I got to open for Brantley Gilbert again later because they did a national competition, like, you know, in the whole US to open for on the Brantley Gilbert Kick It in a Ship cruise. And we ended up getting to do that. And so that was amazing because there was Chase Rice, Tyler Farr, so many people on this cruise that were just, I mean, way farther than me in their career. So, and I think there was only 2 girls on the cruise. It was me and Angie K, but it was so much fun. And I learned a ton.
That's amazing. You're getting there.
Thank you.
Present day, you auditioned for The Voice.
Yeah.
You sang Stupid Boy by Keith Urban. Yeah. Why did you make that decision to sing that song?
You know, a lot of my stuff that I have out right now is like fun stuff and just like really high energy and upbeat. But I do have a side where I've got sad songs and I've got deeper songs. And that one kind of stuck out to me. You know, for The Voice, you obviously choose a cover. Otherwise, I probably would have done one of my own. But I loved in that song Stupid Boy that one, it was sang by a male and I'd be a female singing it. But I liked how the end of the song I sang, it took a while for her to figure out that she could run. But when she did, she was long gone. And that just like stuck with me because that's why I was there. I wanted to know if I could run. I wanted to know if I could do this thing and I did it. And so that just really stuck with me, you know. It's like the stupid boy almost wasn't a boy in a way. For me, it was just like all my negative thoughts and all maybe the people who thought I couldn't do it, you know. So it was perfect, I think, for the moment.
So you were almost, for you, it was sentimental in the way that you kind of were putting aside some of that self-doubt, but also some of the critics and things like that. And you were just coming out of your shell. No, that's really inspirational. That's really inspirational.
And it was cool because it took them so long to push their buttons for me, Gwen and Blake. I was singing the whole song, you know, and they weren't turning, and I got nervous for a second, but then when they did turn, that's when I got to sing that line, and it just felt right. You know, it was meant to be, I think.
So is the depiction of how you see it on TV accurate in the sense of, because I know you have 90 seconds or something like that.
Yeah.
So when you're watching it on TV, there are moments where it's like sometimes TV can reconfigure it and make it look like it was longer, but really it was only like 30 seconds. So for you, you were singing a good portion of your song before they turned around.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they didn't turn around until nearly the end. I went and I'd already hit all the notes that I thought maybe would get them to turn, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't maybe hit them 100%, but I did them the best I could in the moment. And so I was like, oh, shoot, but then it was the very kind of just last minute high note. And then they ended up turning. So thank God. But it did take a while. I mean, when you watch the episode, they kind of show my parents, and my dad, he looks so nervous for me. This is his little girl. If she doesn't get a turn, he's gonna feel it. And my mom's just rooting me on because she had confidence that they were gonna turn. But it was special to see that they cared so much and they got to be in that moment. But let me tell you, it was an adrenaline kick for sure.
Yeah, your dad was tearing up.
Yeah, we cried the whole freaking time, man. He was not like a big crier growing up, but I don't know, he must have a soft side when it comes to this, and he knows, I think, that I've just been working so hard for so long, and like now it's finally like just coming together.
So I want to touch base on something that you kind of have alluded to. You were talking about your you picked the song by Keith Urban, a male singer. Earlier in the episode, you talked about how you did a lot of outdoor activities, hunting, fishing, and those are predominantly male type of sports. What about, is it for you? Is it something of a pride thing, or is it something where you're trying to break a barrier? Because it sounds like you're doing great things, but you also are cognizant and paying attention to the fact that you are a female and you're trying to break those barriers. Is that something that you notice, or is that something that you just naturally are doing, or what do you think?
Like outdoorsy wise?
I would say just in the sense of both, because you also mentioned when you were singing, when asked about the Keith Urban song, you said, oh, he also is a male singer, I'm a female. So it's like, I wasn't sure if it was something like for you where you're aware of these barriers that you're breaking, or if you're just doing the things that you love to do and you just so happen to be doing it at the same time.
I think I didn't purposely go in doing that, but I think it just kind of happened that way. Like, as far as, being in the industry, I've noticed now, male artists are doing better than female. That's just a thing, right? And I just always thought it was cool, like creativity wise, to be able to cover a song that's, sung by a different gender, because it's just cool, like to be able to put it in your perspective. But then as far as the outdoors goes, I didn't really know it was a big deal that I was a girl doing this stuff until I found out or went to, conferences or hunting things. And I was getting questioned by people, and kind of like, I don't know, people were just always like, I always felt like I was on the spot in a way. Like, they're like, oh, do you really know what you're doing, or this or that? It's like, I'm not trying to prove anything to anyone. This is a hobby. This is just fun. But it did come up quite a bit. And now I know, I'm aware that it's a thing, and that girls do feel not confident or self-conscious or judged. And I'm just here to show them, like, hey, like, it does not matter. Like, you're not always going to have a perfect hunt. You don't have to have all the fanciest things. And I think that's kind of just like the realness has been something that has now stuck in everything that I do, whether it's outdoors or my music or whatever.
I agree. I think when you're authentic with something, it's noticeable, whatever it is you're doing. And in your case, hobbies and singing. And so when you're authentic with something, people gravitate towards it and they know it. Right. I always feel like you can almost kind of tell, because they're not really into it. It's just, whether they're doing it for attention or whatever the case may be. So, but in your case, it sounds like it just naturally came with the territory because of the hard work that you're putting in, and you just genuinely love to do it, which I appreciate the candor. No, that was just a question I wanted to touch base upon, because I heard you talking about it. But circling back to you and the voice. So so you had two people turn around. You had Blake Shelton and Gwen Stefani. I think John Legend jokingly said Blake Stefani and Gwen Shelton. You in your cut promo, you said that you really wanted to go with Blake. You ended up choosing Gwen. Why did you make that decision?
So this decision has been like a big thing. Still looking back, I wonder, did I make the right choice? But you got to think on the show, you can always get stolen by people. And I kind of did think if I go with Gwen, she's married to Blake. So
Yeah.
you need to, and she even brought that up on stage. But I think I will say, I love Blake Shelton, respect him 100%. But I will say, when you go through something like this and you're just kind of wondering what happens, I did expect him to say more or maybe give me more coaching or just more something, And when Gwen turned, she gave me all these tips and all these things that she wanted to help me with. Whereas Blake Shelton, I just got done saying, yeah, I'm 25 years old, currently or living in Nashville, but from Michigan, Bath, Michigan. And his first question was, oh, are you originally from Michigan? And I was like, oh, here we go. Because Blake, he's always the country. If you're from the South, he's a fan. If you're just country, it's like country with a K, And it's like, I'm a Northerner. I'm an outdoorsy person. I don't even know if you want to call me country. I don't even know what that means anymore.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just was like, dang, that was it. So Gwen just sucked me in, and I went with her because at the end of the day, I'm trying to, overcome my stage fright and be confident and be able to do what it is that I want to do. And really, it's just the stage fright that was holding me back. So she won it for me. But it was such a hard choice because Blake is country music. So if I'm going with Gwen, who knows what kind of song she's going to give me going forward and all that. But it was going to be good growth either way. So. And a lot of people online, too, have been commenting like, oh, Sadie should have gone with Blake. And did you hear her say that Michigan thing? It was sassy. And it's like, okay, Blake can dish it out, so I'm sure he can take a little bit, too.
Yeah, I good for you for advocating for yourself. I did notice that, too. I think when I watched it, I was like, oh, wow, good for her. She stuck to her guns. But no, the truth is like, you can't go wrong with that. Like, let's say you had a portrait. You wouldn't have gone wrong with any coach that you had chosen, but really cool insight stuff that you, as a competitor, kind of had a little bit of strategy in your head of, well, there is stealing and there is other things, which something I didn't even think about. So I think that's really cool. Kudos to you.
I haven't said this in an interview yet, but it's true. I was thinking about, before we went into these, we kind of got to get to know the contestants. And I was hearing voices in the halls, and these voices were freaking good. Let me tell you, especially these country voices. I think it's Peyton Aldridge is on there. I heard his voice. If I was Blake, I would have swooped him up, but I think he got blocked or something.
Yeah, he got blocked by John.
I got to thinking, if I chose Blake too, and we go into battles, I'm going to have to compete against another country artist in his clan. And I was thinking, okay, Blake is going to have the best country people. And if I'm working on my stage fright, maybe I go with Gwen for a little bit and then hopefully can go over and to Blake too. That'd be cool. But yeah, that was a last minute decision. So we'll see how it pans out.
See, and again, more insight stuff about, as a competitor, I would not think of it, but just being one of those people that are like, he has a big country base. There's going to be a lot of people. If I can kind of find my, my little niche here and be successful here and thrive here, who knows what will happen. So I'll be pulling for you. So I like the insight stuff that you were able to share with us, which I greatly appreciate. You touched base on it, your stage fright.
Mm-hmm.
I think you had said something where, was this the first time that you really performed by yourself on a stage, or is that?
No. So This is kind of the deal with my stage fright thing. So, growing up, I sang. I love music. I always sang when I was younger and stuff, but I didn't really sing in front of people because I didn't know if I was good, right? And I was writing songs and things like that. My mom said I was good, but everyone's mom says they're good, and it shows, okay? We all know that there's people out there who maybe should have asked some more opinions, but I was too scared to sing out to find out. So, when you could post those like 7-second videos and stuff on Instagram, I was posting those without my face in it just to see, and they were doing well. So I'm like, okay, this is cool. I love doing this. People think I'm good, like they're enjoying it. And that's the whole point. That's why you do something, right? It's to make people happy, make yourself happy. But I was doing these shows, and the problem is I was showing up and I was making myself do the shows, but I was not having fun. I really wasn't. Like, people in the beginning when I had full band stuff or acoustic stuff, they're like, oh, you didn't look nervous. You sounded great. But I knew that I could have done better. I knew I could have been more involved. I could have talked more. I had more to say. I wanted to make a better show, but I just could barely really do it. And I knew that going forward, if I wanted to have a successful career, I had to find a way to break that barrier so that I could do better. And I've done a lot of shows. I've opened for these artists, but I was thrown up before. I was just kind of a mess the day of. You can ask all my band members, my family. Just it was getting hard. And pre-COVID, we were booking shows every weekend. I was doing it, but it was just taking like so much for me that I almost got to a point where I was like, maybe I can't do this because I love writing the songs and I like putting the music out, but I don't like everyone staring at me. And I'm just not doing the quality of shows that I wanted. I just wasn't. I mean, I was okay, but am I CMA worthy? No, I didn't think I was. So, I got on The Voice and that's what I told them. I was trying to work this out. And what's scarier than singing in front of 7 million people? Nothing. I mean, nothing scary. I could have just done something totally embarrassing, but I got on there. We got to kind of talk with some voice coaches and stuff. And this one in particular, she was kind of telling me, hey, did you used to be an athlete? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, what I'm noticing is when you get nervous, because at these things, even just interviews and all that, I was shaking. I mean, my body was just shaking. I didn't even think I was going to be able to finish the song. But she said, instead of sitting there and like breathing and like trying to calm yourself down, that's what I would always do, right? And it would just almost get worse. She said, take those nerves and turn them into adrenaline as if you're playing a sport. So like, she's like, if you're about to go play a game, you're not going to sit there quietly and meditate and hold it in. You're going to like jump around. You're going to get ready to go. And I was like, okay. And so we were like sitting there practicing. She's like, yell out, like just jump around and yell. And I was doing it. I didn't care. At this point, I was willing to try anything. And so the day of my audition, because you only have 90 seconds up there, right? I don't have time to shake in the beginning or not do well. Whereas other shows, I could kind of get warmed up. And so I was kind of just bouncing around and telling myself, okay, this is ready. I'm ready for this. And so I think I've turned now my nerves, the shakes, into adrenaline. And now it's like game time. And so it's really worked for me. And I've been trying to share that with other people. I know everyone's not the same, but if you are an athlete and you are struggling with stage fright, I would recommend that. And now that I'm getting more confident, it's kind of fun because when I get that feeling, I know it's because I'm about to do something important. And like, it's not as scary, I guess.
You're exactly right. And I think I still do that nowadays where if I'm nervous about something, I do the same thing. I think about the big games I played in and I'm like,
yeah,
you could do it. You could do it. Like, and it's a way that you can push yourself through it. And I like how you've been able to shift your energy of what could be, because at the end of the day, it could be a negative one, but you've been able to shift it into positive and to performing, which I think is incredible. So good for you. No, I really think that that's a good strategy. It sounds like it's worked for you because I do remember on the episode, I think you said, I'm going to pass out, or I almost passed out.
Yeah. I mean, you saw even an episode, when they do all these interviews beforehand and stuff, even just that stuff freaked me out. There's these lights in your face and they're asking you, okay, you're about to go on. How do you feel? And I was you saw my face. I was just looked like I was going to cry because I was just so overwhelmed. Yep. And I thought about all the work I put in and I was just hoping to God that I didn't blow it. But I really did think about it. And I was like, I'm here and I'm still doing it. And if I go up there and I do pass out, who cares? I showed up. And that's what matters. It's the hardest part is doing it. And so I was just so proud of myself for doing it. And then it was a bonus that they turned, And so from then on, like even Emma, my manager now, and my cousin, when I got done, I called her, I was so excited. I said, Emma, I think it's gone. And she's like, what? I was like, my stage fright. Like, I'm not scared. Like now I'm just to a point too. It's like, who cares if you mess up? It happens. And like, that's just not something you should be scared of. And that's what I told the kids too on Friday when I was speaking to them. I was like, if you're scared of what people think, if you're scared to mess up, let me tell you right now, you're going to mess up. You're going to do it. But who cares? It's about how you recover. It's about how you keep moving forward. And I think that's going to just help me so much going forward. I'm ready to put on fun shows and good shows and like I can control the environment now, I've realized too. And I can literally not make people have fun, but I can make it a good environment and make it a good time. And I'm getting control of it,
Yeah. It sounds like, I mean, again, obviously I'm not you. It sounds like you've done a good job at working through this to the point where you said it yourself, where you feel like you maybe have overcame it. So, yeah. And that you're able to talk to the kids about it and give them good insight on how to overcome this as well. So I'm rooting for you because I definitely think that that's really impressive. And I love the journey about how you were just putting small snippets out, seeing what people would say. And kudos to you. That also shows strength too, because you're still putting yourself out there in a public light. And so regardless of if people were, and you did it regardless if people were going to say something negative or something positive. So good for you.
Thank you.
You have to be proud of yourself. I mean, I think that that's showing hard work. while we're wrapping this up, because I know you don't have that much time, I want to talk about your songwriting.
Mm-hmm.
That's more your cup of tea. Am I correct?
That is why I'm freaking here.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about that. What got you into songwriting?
So I've had like little diaries and poems ever since I was little. And when I started writing, by no means were my songs good, but it was cool to be able to like put my story in a song and try to word it in ways that other people can't. Because not everybody can just write a song, right? And when you hear a good song and it makes you think of somebody, you send it to them, or it makes you, you know, it's relatable. And I liked being able to write things that people could relate to. And coming from where I came from, Bath and small town and stuff, my songs were going out and people were relating to them. So I was doing well with that. I mean, production is a whole other story, and money to put out the songs is a whole other thing. Yeah. But if there's one thing I love to do, it's write. And if there's one thing I'm confident in, it's writing. I think I do have a knack for it. And I just can't wait to get out the music that I've had sitting here, waiting to be put out when I have the money to be able to do it. And I think now with the eyes and the ears that I have on me from The Voice, I think that when I do put out my music, that it's going to do better, hopefully. So that's kind of the goal. But I just love writing, and an inspiration right now for me is like Hardy. I don't know if you've seen any of his stuff right now. He's up there with like Morgan Wallen. His writing and his songs are so good. And I just want to be able to be that good one day, and I'm still kind of figuring out my lane as far as production and what kind of instruments and what really my vibe is, because it's hard when you have inspirations from a lot of different people, but my voice is different from theirs. So I still have to find my own thing. But that's my bread and butter right there. It's putting out the music for sure.
I love it. It sounds like you're on the right path for it. You're on the right journey. Where can people find you so they can stay up to date, see all the hard work you're putting in, all your social media stuff? Where can people find Sadie?
I've got all social medias, but my biggest one is Instagram. That's where I interact with people if they message me or have questions. It's Sadie Bass __. And then, I do have YouTube and Facebook and all that, but Instagram is the main one. And then if you want to look up my music, it's on Spotify, Apple Music, anywhere. Just type in Sadie Bass. And Holy Ground is my new one. That one is about Bath, Michigan.
So your newest song is about growing up in Bath, Michigan?
Yeah. It says dirt on my tires from Babcock Road, a dot on a map that nobody knows. 2-finger wave and I know I'm home. Like, that's literally Bath. And so it just is perfect. And like the second verse talks about hunting season. So I just hope that with The Voice, it takes off this fall. I'm just praying to God it would.
I love it. So you wrote that entire song?
Yeah, I wrote that with Paul Rock and Paul Rock and David. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're like, I hope I don't.
I've written a lot of songs with a lot of people, but I remember I went into that day with my line that I had was 20 feet closer to God, 20 feet closer to heaven, something like that. I wanted it to be about my time in the outdoors and how I love just like sitting there. And that's when I feel my best. And then I was like, it's holy ground. And Paul was like, ooh, holy ground is it. And so then we started talking about stomping grounds too. And then 20 feet off the ground, we put it all together, like the perfect song for me,
That's amazing. Not similarly to you, but in a way, I always would write as well. But for me, it was poems.
Hey, poems are sick, and those turn into good songs. If you ever got some good ones, you need somewhere to put them. You send them to me.
All right, there you go. So there you go. Now I know. Now, and you know what? Because I like the way you
are. I have a lot of writers that just write poems. They can't sing, they can't play, they can't do nothing. They just roll up with these ideas. I'm like, heck yeah, buddy, let's go.
I can't sing at all. I love to sing. I can't sing. I'm terrible at it, but I love to do it. When I'm in my car, I think I'm good. And that's you know how you say everyone's mom thinks they're good? Even my mom knows I'm not good. So.
That's funny.
So, but no, you know what? If I ever have some, I'll send them your way. And I like how transparent you are, because I like that you'll be able to be like, dude, this isn't a hit, but maybe we'll keep working. You never
know. The way I write, I just keep notes, my notes all in my notepad in my phone. And then if I get a melody stuck in my head, I'll go back and kind of look at some of my notes and see if they fit in. And if they do, then I just keep it rolling. So.
Oh, you do that too? I'm in my notes, like, because if I'm just on the fly going, I'm like, I quickly kind of type it in just to see what I have and whatever I'm feeling in that moment.
What somebody's going to say is going to stick with you, and you might not be able to write the whole song right then, but if you write it down, you come back to it later. You never know. A lot of them could be pieced together. A lot of notes will go together without even knowing it. So it's just fun to be able to create that kind of stuff, honestly.
Yeah, it sounds like it. See, I'm not into that stuff. Like I said, I like journaling. I like writing poems and that type of stuff. But this is really cool. So I know you're short on time, but thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day to talk with me on the Reyes Reflection podcast. I appreciate you doing this.
Woo, thank you so much. I appreciate you reaching out to me.
Awesome. So we're wrapped for this episode of a Reyes Reflection podcast. And remember, may you live, may you love, and may you thrive. Sadie, wishing you nothing but the best. I'm going to follow the show. I'm going to make sure that you're doing great. I'm going to cheer you on. You have a fan in me.
Yay. Thank you so much. I need the prayers for sure.
You got it. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.